Well, folks, what we got here is the return of an American legend. The 2026 Chevrolet Impala SS. Yep, they finally did it. Brought back the big bruiser, stuck some power under the hood, and slapped those two magical letters on the back. SS. Super Sport. If that don't get your blood pumping, you might want to check for a pulse. Now, first things first, let's talk about looks. The old Impalas were always about presence, and this one's got it in spades. It's long, it's wide, and it sits like it owns the road. Up front, you got a big old grille with just enough chrome to remind you it's got some heritage, but not so much that it looks like it belongs at the country club. The headlights are mean, sharp-looking LED units that kinda give off a squint, like it's fixin' to throw down. Body lines are clean, but there's a little bit of aggression in the fenders, like it's flexin' just enough to let you know it ain't afraid to brawl. Out back, Chevrolet actually did the right thing and gave it proper quad tail lights. That's a big deal. You don't mess with Impala tail lights. They even tucked some wide rubber under there, so you know they mean business. Now, we gotta pop the hood and see what they stuffed in here. And oh boy, they didn't disappoint. You got yourself a 6.2-liter LT2 V8 ripped straight from the Corvette, 500 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque. That's right, no turbo nonsense, no little electric helpers, just 8 angry cylinders drinking, premium, and making America proud. And if you think they just threw in a big motor and called it a day, think again. This thing's got GM's fancy magnetic ride suspension, so it ain't just a straight-line missile. It actually handles too. They tightened up the chassis, gave it a proper limited slip diff, and even dialed in some real steering feel, which is something I thought GM forgot how to do years ago. Now, some of you might be wondering, what's it sound like? Well, let me tell you, it sounds like freedom. Fire it up, and you get that deep, crackling idle that lets everybody know you mean business. Lay into the throttle, and it belts out a bellow that'll make your neighbor's Prius shrivel up and die. And when you let off, you get some nice burbles and pops just to remind folks you're still there. They even gave it a proper dual mode, exhaust. So if you gotta sneak out early for work and don't want to wake up the whole block, you can keep it quiet. Though, let's be honest, you won't. Inside, well, it's a mix of old-school muscle and modern tech. You get real gauges, thank the Lord. A big talk right where it should be. A speedo that goes higher than you'll ever admit to your insurance company. And a heads-up display so you don't gotta take your eyes off the road when things get spicy. They even threw in some nice bucket seats that hug you just right when you're throwing it into a corner. And for those long road trips? Yep, still comfy. You got a proper shifter in the center console. None of that button nonsense. And get this, an available 6-speed manual. That's right, you can row your own gears if you got the guts for it. Of course, if you're feeling a little lazy, there's a 10-speed automatic. And I'll admit, it shifts quicker than I ever could. Now, fuel mileage? Ha! Who cares? This ain't a Prius, it's an Impala SS. But if you must know, it'll do something in the low 20s if you keep your foot out of it. But let's be real, you won't. So how's it drive? Well, let me tell you, it's got that old-school muscle car punch with just enough modern handling to keep it from being a boat. Step on it from a dig, and it'll roast the tires for a good city block if you let it. Get it into the twisties, and it actually holds its own. It's got that perfect mix of brute force and refinement. Just enough of a bad attitude to keep things interesting. But it won't try to throw you into a ditch every time you breathe on the gas. And the best part? The price. Now, I ain't gonna say it's cheap, but compared to some of these European luxury barges with half the horsepower and double the price, it's a downright steal. You're looking at around 55 grand to start. And if you check all the right boxes, you might push it into the 60s. But for a full-size V8-powered rear-wheel drive American sedan with a proper SS badge, worth every penny. Now, of course, there's always gonna be the haters. The folks who say, oh, why didn't they make it electric? Or, it's just a Charger competitor. Well, to them I say, too bad. This thing is for the folks who still love the sound of a V8, who appreciate a big American sedan that can actually haul the mail, and who want to drive something with some real character. It ain't trying to be something it's not. It's an Impala SS. Loud, fast, and just the right amount of unrefined. So, bottom line, Chevrolet actually did it. They brought back the Impala SS the right way. Big motor, rear drive, and a proper manual option. It's got the looks, it's got the sound, and most importantly, it's G